And then you committed the cardinal sin. You started betting on NBA games, including games that you were reffing yourself.
Yes.
And did betting on the NBA give you a higher high than betting on other sports?
I think it gave me a higher high because I was able to predict the outcome of the games.
The human mind is a fragile one very susceptible to vices like gambling.
You're insisting that your betting did not influence the way you called a game. Why should we believe you?
Because the FBI did a thorough investigation, and even the NBA concluded that I did not fix games in the NBA.
It can delude itself into believing it was innocent, even though it was obviously guilty.
You told the FBI, this is a quote, "You don't realize how easy this was for me knowing what I know."
Mm-hmm.
What exactly did you know?
I knew that there were certain relationships that existed between referees and players, referees and coaches, and referees and owners that influenced the points.
In 2014, the NBA was the first major sports league to partner with FanDuel. They offered daily fantasy sports props, and since then the symbiotic relationship has only increased between the two. 2017 marked the partnership between the WNBA and FanDuel. 2018 made FanDuel an authorized gaming operator. The NBA today has 17 national partners that are either official partners in the case of FanDuel and DraftKings, and in the case of others like MGM, ESPN Bet, and others, authorized gaming operators. This allows these companies to use official NBA data when making props, and means the NBA endorses the use of their likeness in gambling.
Win cash every week with FanDuel Thursdays on TNT. Go to FanDuel.com/TNT.
Operation Sleeper Pick complete.
Use promo code Turner, and FanDuel will match your first deposit up to $200.
Fast forward to 2024, and players are getting abused and harassed for not getting one more rebound, one more assist, for scoring one more point than they needed to. Betting is all fun and games to those sitting at home and in the stands, but to players it can make their spot on the stage that much brighter, the target on their back that much bigger for people who they don't satisfy. Sports betting is currently legal in 38 states, and 30 of those allow you to bet directly from your phone. And in today's day and age, that can feel as simple as buying VC on 2K, ordering something off Amazon, or even just going to the store. All you need is a credit card or bank account, and you too can win big. Underdog will generously give you $50 in free bets if you just deposit $25. And don't forget that you can bet on a 5-leg parlay and win 10 times your money. This leads to players being abused and harassed, as I mentioned before, and multiple players have spoken out about it.
I mean, to half the world, I'm just helping them make money on DraftKings or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I'm the prop. You know what I mean? Like that's what my social media mostly consists of. You know, I think it's important for us to like have somebody to talk to, and like I think all that stuff is like it can be funny sometimes. If somebody's like, I lost $1,000. I don't give a.
Recently, Rudy Gobert made comments after a game that got him fined $100,000. These included suggesting that referees are bought off by sports bettors, and that though it's becoming a bigger part of the game, he does not want sports betting to be a bigger part of the game moving forward. And I'm inclined to agree with him. In a study done by Ipsos.com in 2020, it found that 96% of the 11 to 24-year-olds they interviewed had been exposed to gambling marketing in the last month. And since then, the marketing budget of DraftKings has over doubled in value. So this means that a lot of people are growing up seeing these ads and being exposed at a young age to a potential vice. It's like the Juul thing that happened a few years ago.
FanDuel Casino has your chance at the #1 feeling, winning, which ranks even higher than the 18th best feeling, saving a kid from a well. 59 years later. Find the #1 feeling, winning, on FanDuel Casino Reward Machine. Free to play every day with a chance at a $2,000 top prize.
And in fact, you probably know someone who's affected by gambling debt. According to KindBridge.com, 1 in 5 American men are or have been in debt due to sports betting, and nearly 1 in 5 allot a quarter or more of their paycheck to sports gambling. And it's no wonder why kids these days are growing up and then going to gamble. Their favorite YouTubers are all pushing it, their favorite podcasts all have ads for it, and their favorite TV programs all have betting integrations into them. Hell, even the broadcasts mention betting every chance they get.
Am I worried about the possibility of more Jontay Porter type cases in basketball? For y'all that don't know, Jontay Porter is being investigated for potentially some sports gambling stuff on himself. And obviously this has caused a lot of conversation about the way sports gambling has been integrated into our game. Listen, I also do a sports gambling ad. As y'all know, we're presented by FanDuel. I did a read earlier in this episode. It's definitely a part of our sport. Am I worried about this happening more often? I would be lying to you if I said no. So yes, I really, really am. And I think the one thing that can change it at least a little bit is if the NBA really makes an example out of Jontay Porter and say like, hell, if he is guilty, here's a lifetime ban from playing in our league. For anybody else that gets caught, you are getting banned as well. And as it continues to be integrated into our league, I think it will pop up more and more often unless they really set an example. And if you do something stupid, just like Jontay, you're done.
And that brings us to Jontay Porter. For those of you unaware, Jontay Porter is a forward for the Toronto Raptors and the brother of Michael Porter Jr. He was drafted in 2019 and was undrafted, but played for the Memphis Grizzlies and then bounced around the G League. This December, he signed for the Toronto Raptors on a two-way contract worth $415,000 and is now under league investigation for betting irregularities in games that he played with the Raptors. The clip you saw prior was Kenny Beecham explaining on his podcast, the Kenny Beecham Podcast, what happened and why he is a little worried moving forward about situations like this happening. To break it down for you a little further, Jontay Porter is under investigation for betting unders on his own games. The investigation in question is specifically focusing on two games in which Jontay Porter left early with injuries. One was an eye injury and the other was an illness. And in those games, there were large amounts bet on Jontay Porter unders, some even amounting to over $10,000 and $20,000. And during those nights, Jontay Porter unders were the biggest winners for any sports book. I don't want to accuse Jontay Porter of anything. This is an ongoing investigation. Nothing concrete has been determined yet, but the circumstantial evidence is pretty overwhelming. I mean, just look at his face after he makes a three right here. It looks like he took the under, and he didn't want to make the three, but he banked it in. So it does look pretty rough for him right now. And if these allegations do turn out to be true, the only way to really punish him is expulsion from the league, in my opinion, because fines are not going to be enough to deter people in the future from doing this. Suspensions even, probably not. The only way to really lay down the law is to prevent people from coming back into the league if they do something like this. Now, it is worth mentioning that Michael Porter Jr. did defend his brother. He said, "I know what you guys know. I know Jontay loves the game of basketball. He's been really excited to play with the Raptors. So I know just as much as you guys know at this point. I have known my brother my whole life. I know what type of dude he is. I know he's excited to play basketball, and highly doubt that he would do anything to put that in jeopardy. So he does seem to say that his brother's innocent here. I don't expect him to say his brother's guilty. But it is worth mentioning that, hey, there are some people who don't think he is guilty. But moving forward, let's assume he is guilty. What does this mean for the league? What does this mean moving forward? And what can the NBA do to avoid situations like it in the future? Unfortunately, the league seems to be too far gone into the sports betting world to really bring it back and have it not be part of the league anymore. I mean, hell, they're integrating it into League Pass for people to see sports betting odds and to allow them to bet on games through League Pass. And as I mentioned prior, nearly every sports YouTuber, podcast, and TV program is sponsored by gambling to one degree or another. And I don't see a world in which it fully rolls back. And it's hard to blame them for those who do take the money, because it's an unlimited money faucet seemingly. You know, you need to keep the lights on. You need to keep your families fed. And if someone presents you with a lot of money to say, hey, bet this player prop, it's hard to blame them for taking that. And while public information does not really exist on the pay for YouTubers, DraftKings did pay $50 million to Dan Le Batard to become his betting partner. And contracts like that are not necessarily uncommon. DraftKings sponsors Colin Cowherd, FanDuel has Pat McAfee and Kenny Beecham, ESPN has their own sports betting book where they promote their own bets on the show, and I don't necessarily blame them, but I do think we need to take into account who the analytics say are watching our videos, who we are promoting this gambling to, because a lot of these people's viewers are kids, and kids should not be seeing sports betting ads. And hell, even if they're not kids, they're early 20s a lot of the time. And speaking as someone who is 20, our brains are kind of applesauce at this age. We are willing to try kind of anything to get money, especially in this economy right now, where we have student loans hitting record highs, where we have job insecurities, where we can't even get jobs with a degree coming out of college. So it's hard to blame kids for wanting to win big. And that's not to mention the fact that a lot of these NBA players now grew up with NBA YouTube, grew up with podcasts, and will be influenced by what they saw in those podcasts. Kenny Beecham is one of the most influential, if not the most influential NBA YouTuber in the space, and he has mentioned that a lot of players have watched him growing up, such as the Thompson twins or Tyrese Halliburton. So it's not hard to imagine that if you don't have a ton of money and you're a role player that's making only $400,000 a year in a space where people are making hundreds of millions on their contracts, that you might want some extra money. And what better way to make yourself some extra change just by hitting an under, just by not making a 3 in that game, just drive a little more. Or, maybe betting over, chuck some shots. It'll be garbage time anyway. This Jontay Porter situation is not the last time something like this will happen. I can nearly guarantee it. It happens all the time in college basketball, and with more and more players cycling in because of injuries and because of the expanded two-way contract system that happened in the new CBA, more and more players that don't make a ton of money are going to be cycling in. I don't expect all-star players or all NBA players or max contract players to do this, because you are losing out on a shit ton of money if you do get caught. But role players, I could see it. League minimum guys, I could see it. Two-way guys, I think it just happened. So what does the NBA do? The answer, unfortunately, is I don't know. The NBA has gone to bed with these sports books, and it's too late to pull out now. You can't just rewind time and unintegrate. But I think a good starting spot would be for people who do push these ads to take responsibility, to take a look at their analytics and really consider who they're pushing these to. Or have lawmakers come in and put caps on how much marketing budgets these sportsbooks get. And we're sitting on a bubble right now. We have the Shohei Ohtani situation happening in the MLB, the Jontay Porter situation happening in the NBA, and we have had Calvin Ridley in the NFL, and others as well. So it's only a matter of time until something drastic happens. And when it does burst, there's going to be a reckoning. There's going to be questions about the league's integrity, about whether it was rigged or not, whether the refs were dirty. And it'll be hard to dissuade viewers from thinking those things. And they'll lose out on a big portion of their viewership if those beliefs spread. So in my mind, the NBA has really backed themselves into a corner here. How many more players are going to end up betting on themselves? How many refs are going to end up betting on games? What's going to happen? I don't know, and there's only one way to know, and that's to wait and see. So if you liked this video, remember to like and subscribe. It really helps the video in the algorithm. I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Bye.